Hello everyone. Serena here from Whole Shift Wellness. I hope everybody's doing fabulous on this Thursday evening, I should say, here in London. So today is day 4 of my plant-based keto experiment, and I must say I have really turned the corner today. So the first 3 days have been somewhat challenging, I'm not even going to lie. My body was obviously quite disoriented, and because I have been eating in a radically different way than I generally do and that I've probably ever done. So it was a big shift, which took some adjusting to. In particular, some of what I was experiencing was a different sense of being satiated by the food that I was eating, because I'm used to big portions of fruit and vegetables and starchy foods such as whole grains and potatoes and root vegetables. So my portion sizes have gotten smaller, but the calorie density has obviously shot up through the roof, because now I'm trying to get my body to shift into getting the most energy from fats. So I'm eating things that I wouldn't normally eat, olive oil, lots of nuts, avocados, etc. And so the proportions of my plate have completely transformed. My body was a little bit puzzled for the first 3 days, didn't quite know what was going on, of course, as you might expect. Mild keto flu was also experienced, which is just a fascinating thing to go through. It really does feel a little bit like you're going through the flu, but I knew that it was coming, or I was somewhat prepared for it because I've done all my research and all my homework, and I knew what to expect. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I did a good job of rebalancing my electrolytes and keeping them in check as I transitioned, which also meant eating a little bit more salt than I generally would ever do. So a lot of changes, a lot of mixed feelings, thoughts and emotions, as you might have seen from my post yesterday, where I delved into some of the self-sabotaging thoughts that came to surface as I was transitioning for the past 3 days. Again, very grateful to my life experience for having equipped me with the tools to handle all of that, and it's really made me really present yet again to how changing your nutrition can really affect you profoundly, and how challenging it can be, and how much of a difference it makes to have the right tools and do it properly, and why many people quit, or because it is hard. It can be really hard if you're not prepared. And I don't blame people for finding it too hard at times and thinking that there's something wrong with them rather than what it is that they're trying to do. If I hadn't done all my research and I didn't know everything that I know, I definitely would have experienced a sense of failure in the past 3 days and thinking like, this is not for me, this is not working, and probably would have given up too soon. So that's an important learning that I feel like sharing with you, because it applies to any changes that you might be making to your eating habits or health and wellness routine, or any routine in your life. And it's a real game changer. Change is uncomfortable, and you need to expect the discomfort and know how to. It's more about knowing how to handle the discomfort that's gonna make all the difference. Now, today I have been fasting because I'm still only into moderate ketosis, like they call it, which is to be expected in just 3 days. And I have been advised to do a water fast, a short-term water fast, to keep my body into a more full-on ketosis. And so I have not consumed foods, just water. I mean, I had a coffee first thing in the morning because I taught early morning yoga, so I've actually been up since 4:40 this morning. I had my coffee before teaching, and then I practiced yoga with the guys. I did a guided Bikram class and some calisthenics. I was feeling great about all that. Possibly a little bloated from the sodium, but once I did my yoga and everything else, that kind of all went away. My digestion was perfectly fine and has been perfectly fine so far. And then I was at a full day event, a very cool event. I just drank tons of water throughout the day, and although I obviously feel tired from the long day, my energy has been pretty steady throughout the whole day. I haven't had any cravings, I haven't had any major pains of hunger, only little fluctuations which are to be expected, and again, it's all about how you handle those. I'm gonna fast for the rest of the day. I'm gonna just have vegetable broth for dinner and then sleep, and possibly the next meal I will have might be tomorrow at lunch, and by then I expect to be into full-blown ketosis. But today is the best I have felt since I started this on Monday, and it's still very early days, so there's still bound to be fluctuations and changes, etc. I'm curious. I'm really curious to see how this whole thing evolves and what I get out of it, and sharing it with you live is really motivating me, because I feel like I'm doing it as much for myself as I'm doing it for all of you watching it and seeing how it goes and what might come out of this, and just this kind of a self-experiment, an experiment of self-development through food and nutrition. What I feel compelled to clarify with just a couple of points. Now, because I'm doing this doesn't mean that anybody else has to do it, or that it's right for anybody else out there. And I really invite you not to just try and experiment on yourself without the right guidance and knowledge. My goal is always and forever to inspire people, but I don't want to inspire you to make things worse, or to not do it properly, because that might actually give you the opposite of a self-healing and self-developing experience, and I would hate for that to be the case. So take what you want and need out of these shares, but whatever it is that you do, make sure you do it with the right guidance and with the right knowledge, and that you're not putting yourself in harm's way, because that's not my intention at all, to put anybody in that position. But there's only so much I can control. I'm over here, you're over there, so you need to be responsible in whatever it is that you're doing. You should never do anything drastic without the proper guidance, especially if you suffer from medical issues of any sorts, and so you need the right guidance and knowing what you're doing at all times. With that said, I believe in keeping an open mind, being open to trying new things, because you are forever changing, growing and evolving. Therefore, your habits should also be forever changing, growing and evolving with you. And the highest risk in life is to get stuck and resist change and evolution, because that will see you going backwards on yourself. And that's the opposite of life. So if you at any point have any questions, any doubts, I know what I'm doing when I'm fasting, and I know that I'm doing it for the right reason and in the right way. I also know that many people out there don't do it the right way, and that really hurts me to witness, because fasting is a very powerful healing tool if used properly. It's not a crash diet, and it's not designed to overdo some indulgences. It's a healing tool designed to give the body space to tap into its self-healing programming, but it's not a diet. I'm not actually going to weigh myself at all throughout this experiment. I'm not doing this, personally, I'm not doing this with the intention to lose weight. And this is not to say that a ketogenic diet may not be used for that purpose, but that's not why I'm doing it. And even if I were doing it with that intention, you need to have your mindset very right for it not to go down the wrong path. Remember, it's about healing and self-love and self-development and growing and evolving. So you need to know that your intentions are in the right place and you're going at it with the right intentions in order to really get the greatest benefits out of it. And I hope that you understand where I'm coming from with this message. So this is really important, and I really feel compelled to share this with you. With that said, I'm obviously doing this because I would never ever in my life and practice ever recommend something that I haven't tried myself. Whether I find this to be useful for me again in the future or not, I would never recommend it to one of our shifters if I hadn't tried it on my own skin. And anything I ever recommend, I have tried before. Anything. And so I am also doing it with an element of curiosity as to whether it may be a useful tool for some of our more metabolically challenged shifters who, as much as they are all absolutely thriving in the improvements that they're making, might benefit from this additional tool. I won't know until I'm done with it. But yeah, today was a good day. Fasting day was a good day. And we shall see what tomorrow brings on. The beauty of doing these kind of things is also that they kind of force you to take life one day at a time and to just be present and not have any expectations, or at least I'm doing it with no expectations. And so it's good sometimes to put yourself in that place where you just try something and you don't know how it's gonna go, because you're just gonna have to just stay open and see what happens. And what you might learn along the way. Any questions, comments, thoughts, feelings, emotions, feel free to share. I'd love to see if you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out there, if you're getting anything from it, whether it's good or not so good. I'd rather know than not know, so that I can tailor accordingly, because the purpose of this is to add value and serve in the best possible way. I wish everybody a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll check in with you tomorrow. Day 5. Here we go. Ciao for now, everyone.